Hello everyone, my name is Anushri, second year BE in Information Science and Engineering student at Sri Venkateshwara College of Engineering, Bengaluru. Today's topic of my presentation is Indian Constituent Assembly. Introduction. The Constituent Assembly. A Constituent Assembly, also known as the Constitutional Convention, Constitutional Congress, or Constitutional Assembly, is a body assembled for the purpose of drafting or revising a constitution. Members of a Constituent Assembly may be elected by a popular vote drawn by the association, appointed, or some combination of these methods. Assemblies are typically considered distinct from a regular legislature, although members of the legislature may compose a significant number of all its members. As the fundamental document constituting a state, a constitution cannot normally be modified or amended by the state's normal legislature. Procedures in some jurisdictions. Instead, a constitutional convention or a constituent assembly, the rules for which are normally laid down in the constitution, must be set up. A constituent assembly is usually set up for this specific purpose, which it carries out in a relatively short time, after which the assembly is dissolved. A constituent assembly is a form of representative democracy. Indian Constituent Assembly. The Constituent Assembly of India was elected to write the Constitution of India and served as its first parliament as an Indian independent nation. It was first set up as a result of negotiations between the leaders of the Indian independence movement and members of a British cabinet mission. The Constituent Assembly was elected indirectly by the members of a provincial legislative assembly which existed under the British Raj. It first met on December 9, 1946 in Delhi. On August 15, 1947, India became an independent nation and the Constituent Assembly started functioning as India's parliament. B.R. Ambedkar drafted the Constitution of India in conjunction with the requisite deliberations and debates in the Constituent Assembly. The Assembly approved the Constitution on November 26, 1949, celebrated as the Constitution Day, and it took effect on January 26, 1950, a day now commemorated as a Republic Day in India. Once the Constitution took effect, the Constituent Assembly became the Provisional Parliament of India. The Constituent Assembly of India was elected to frame the Constitution of India. It was elected by the Provincial Assembly following India's independence from the British rule in 1947. Its members served as the Indian nation's first parliament as the Provisional Parliament of India. The Indian National Congress held its session at Lucknow in April 1936, presided by the Jawaharlal Nehru. The official demand for the Constituent Assembly was raised, and the Government of India Act 1935 was rejected as it imposed the constitution which was against the will of Indians. C. Rajagopalachari voiced the demand for a Constituent Assembly on 15 November 1939 based on adult franchise and was accepted by the British in August 1940. On 8 August 1940, a statement was made by Viceroy Lord Linlithgow about the expansion of the Governor General's Executive Council and the establishment of a War Advisory Council. This offer, known as the August Offer, included giving full weight to minority opinions and allowing Indians to draft their own constitution. Under the Cabinet Mission Plan of 1946, elections were held for the first time for the Constituent Assembly. The Constitution of India was drafted by the Constituent Assembly and it was implemented under the Cabinet Mission Plan on 16 May 1946. The members of the Constituent Assembly were elected by the provincial assemblies by a single transferable vote system of a proportional representation. The total membership of the Constituent Assembly was 389, of which 292 were representatives of the provinces, 93 represented the princely states, and 4 were from the Chief Commissioner provinces of Delhi, Ajmer, Verwara, Coorg, and British Baluchistan. The elections for the 296 seats assigned to the British Indian provinces were completed by the August 1946. Congress won 208 seats and the Muslim League 73. After this election, the Muslim League refused to cooperate with the Congress and the political situation deteriorated. Hindu-Muslim riots began, and the Muslim League demanded a separate constituent assembly for Muslims in India. On 3rd June 1947, Lord Mountbatten, the last British Governor General of India, announced his intention to scrap the Cabinet Mission Plan. This culminated in India Independence Act 1947 and the separate nations of India and Pakistan. The Indian Independence Act was passed on 18 July 1947, and although it was earlier declared that India would become independent in June 1947, this event led on independence on 1947, 15th August. The Constituent Assembly met for the first time on 9th December 1946, resembling the on 14th August 1947 as a sovereign body and successor to the British Parliament's authority in India. As a result of the partition under the Mountbatten Plan, a separate Constituent Assembly of Pakistan was established on 3rd June 1947. The representatives of the areas incorporated into Pakistan ceased to be members of the Constituent Assembly of India. New elections were held for the West Punjab and East Bengal, which became a part of Pakistan, although East Bengal later succeeded to become Bangladesh. The membership of the Constituent Assembly was 299 after the reorganization, and it met on 31st December 1947. The constitution was drafted by 299 delegates from different caste, religion, region, gender, etc. These delegates sat over 114 days, spread over 3 years, 2 years, 11 months, and 18 days to be precise, and discussed what the constitution should contain and what laws should be included. The drafting committee of constitution was chaired by B.R. Ambedkar. Background and election. India was still under the British rule when the Constituent Assembly was established following negotiations between the Indian leaders and members of the 1946 Cabinet Mission to India from the United Kingdom. Provincial Assembly elections were held in early 1946, but Constituent Assembly members were elected indirectly by the members of the newly elected provincial assemblies and initially included representatives for those provinces that formed a part of Pakistan, some of which are now in Bangladesh. The Constituent Assembly had 389 representatives, including the 15 women. The Interim Government of India was formed on 2nd September 1946 from the newly elected Constituent Assembly. The Congress Party held a large majority in Assembly, 69% of the seats, and the Muslim League held nearly all the seats reserved in the Assembly for the Muslims. There were also some members smaller parties such as the Scheduled Caste Federation and the Communist Party of India and an Unionist Party. In India, in June 1946, delegations from the Sindh, East Bengal, Baluchistan, West Punjab, and Northwest Frontier province withdrew to form the Constituent Assembly of Pakistan, meeting in Karachi. On 15th August 1947, the Dominion of the India and Dominion of Pakistan became independent nations, and members of the Constituent Assembly who had not withdrawn to Karachi became India's parliament. 28 members of a Muslim League joined the Indian Assembly, and 93 members were later nominated from the princely states. Constitution and Elections. At 11 a.m. on December 1946, the Assembly began its first session with 211 members attending. The Assembly approved the draft Constitution on 26 November 1949. On 26 January 1950, the Constitution took effect and the Constitution Assembly became the provisional parliament of India. Organization. Rajendra Prasad was elected as the president and Hirendra Kumar Mukherjee, a Christian from Bengal and a former vice chancellor of Calcutta University, was vice president. The assembly's work had 5 stages. Committees presented reports on issues. B.R.N. Rao prepared an initial draft based on the reports and his research into the constitutions of other nations. The drafting committee, chaired by the B.R. Ambedkar, represented a detailed draft constitution which was published for public discussion. The draft constitution was discussed and amendments were proposed and enacted. The constitution was adopted with a committee of experts led by the Congress party, known as the Congress Assembly Party, played a pivotal role. Committees of the Constituent Assembly. Major committees. The Drafting Committee, Bhimrao Ambedkar, Union Power Committee, Jawaharlal Nehru, Union Constitution Committee, Jawaharlal Nehru, Provincial Constitution Committee, Vallabhbhai Patel, Advisory Committee on Fundamental Rights, Minorities and Tribal and Excluded Areas, Vallabhbhai Patel. This committee had the following subcommittees: Fundamental Rights Subcommittee, J.B. Kripalini, Minorities Subcommittee, Hirendra Kumar Mukherjee, and Northeast Frontier Tribal Areas and Assam excluded and partially excluded areas subcommittee, Gopinath Bordoli, and excluded and partially excluded areas apart from those in Assam subcommittee, A.V. Thakkar. Rules of a Procedure Committee, Rajendra Prasad. State Committees, Jawaharlal Nehru. Steering Committee, Rajendra Prasad. Ad hoc Committee on National Flag, Rajendra Prasad. Committee for the Function of the Constitutional Assembly, J.V. Mavlankar. House Committee, B. Pattabi Sitaramaya. And Language Committee, Maturi Satyanarayana. Order of the Business Committee, K.M. Munshi. So here is the gallery of photos. Dr. Baba Saheb Ambedkar, chairman with other members of the Constituent Drafting Committee of the Constituent Assembly on India on 1947, 29th August. So that's all for this video. Thank you.